You found the perfect support line. The price touched it twice before. You confidently enter your buy trade, place your stop loss right below the line, and wait for profits. But instead, the market violently crashes through your line, stops you out, and immediately skyrockets to your target without you. You aren't unlucky. You were hunted. Today, I'll expose the support and resistance trap and show you exactly what to do instead. Let's start with a brutal truth about the financial markets. The traditional concept of support and resistance is fundamentally flawed. You've been taught to look at historical turning points, connect the bottoms, draw a thin horizontal line, and blindly trust that this exact price point will act as a concrete floor. But think about the sheer scale of the Forex, crypto, or stock markets. These markets are driven by massive institutions, central banks, and algorithms executing billions of dollars in volume. Do you honestly believe that a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund cares about an arbitrary, one-pixel-thin line drawn at exactly 1.00542? Absolutely not. Financial markets are not driven by exact geometry. They are driven by liquidity and broad areas of value. When you trade a thin line, you are forcing a fluid, dynamic market into a rigid mathematical box. This illusion of exact precision is the very first step to consistently losing your capital. Because retail traders are obsessed with these exact lines, they end up placing their orders in highly predictable locations. If you buy at a support line, where does your textbook tell you to put your stop loss? Usually, just 5 to 10 pips below that line. Now, multiply your single stop loss by millions of other retail traders doing the exact same thing across the globe. You have just created a massive liquidity pool. In the market, a stop loss order on a buy trade is literally just a pending market sell order. So, sitting right below your support line is an ocean of guaranteed sell orders waiting to be triggered. For a large institution to buy hundreds of millions of dollars of an asset without causing massive price slippage, they need someone to sell it to them. They need a massive amount of liquidity. And where is the easiest place to find it? Right there, in your stop-loss cluster. This brings us to the core engine of market manipulation: engineered stop hunts. Smart money deliberately pushes the price down to break your precious support line. Their goal isn't to start a new downtrend. Their goal is purely to trigger that massive pool of retail stop losses. When your stop loss hits, you are forced to sell. The institutions gladly absorb your sell orders to fill their massive buy orders at a discount. Once their institutional bags are completely filled using your liquidity, the selling pressure vanishes and the price violently reverses in your original direction. Your broken support line wasn't bad luck or a miscalculation of the trend. It was a highly calculated liquidity grab. You got stopped out because your order was the perfect target. If you want to survive, you must stop volunteering to be the liquidity. You need a complete paradigm shift in how you view the charts. If lines are a trap, what is the solution? You must stop drawing lines and start drawing boxes. Welcome to the world of supply and demand. While traditional support and resistance focus on where the price happened to bounce in the past, supply and demand focuses strictly on where massive institutional volume entered the market. Institutions cannot hide their enormous size. When they enter the market, they leave a massive footprint behind in the form of aggressive, violent price momentum. A demand zone is a specific, thicker price area where buyers aggressively stepped in, causing a massive imbalance between buyers and sellers. A supply zone is the opposite, an area where heavy institutional selling began, trapping the buyers. We are no longer looking for a fragile line that was touched 3 times. We are hunting for a fresh, unmitigated area on the chart that represents a massive, undeniable injection of institutional capital. Think of the difference this way. A support line is like a thin sheet of glass. If you put too much weight on it, it shatters instantly. But a demand zone is like a thick concrete trampoline. Because institutional orders are so incredibly large, they must be built up and accumulated over a range of prices. This accumulation creates a block or a zone. price might sink deeply into this zone, piercing what would have been a traditional retail support line. But the deeper it goes into that zone, the more unfilled institutional buy orders it triggers, and the stronger it bounces back. By trading wide zones instead of thin lines, you finally give the market the breathing room it needs. You account for normal market volatility, liquidity sweeps, and most importantly, you place your stop loss safely below the entire institutional order block rather than just below a random line. So, how do we spot these institutional footprints on a naked chart? There are two primary reversal patterns you need to memorize. The first one, for identifying demand, is called the drop base rally. Picture the market in a downtrend. Price is dropping with red candles. Then, it pauses for 1 to 3 small, tight candles. This is the base. The base is the calm before the storm, the exact moment institutions are quietly absorbing the selling pressure. Suddenly, the price rallies upwards with massive, aggressive green candles. The base left behind is your new demand zone. For supply zones, we look for the rally base drop. Price is rallying up, convincing retail traders to buy. It pauses to create a small base, and then violently crashes down with huge red candles. The institutions trapped the buyers at the base and dumped their positions. These reversal patterns are the highest probability setups you can trade. While reversals catch the major turning points, markets spend a lot of time trending. This brings us to continuation patterns, the rally base rally for demand, and the drop base drop for supply. In a rally base rally, the price is already moving upward in a strong trend. It pauses briefly to create a tight base as institutions add even more volume to their winning positions, and then it explodes higher again. This creates a mid-trend demand zone that you can use to scale into trades or catch a pullback. The drop base drop is the exact opposite for downtrends. While these continuation zones are excellent for riding momentum, you must exercise caution. They are generally slightly lower probability than the massive origin reversal patterns found at the extremes of the chart. Always prioritize trading the extremes over the middle of a trend, but keep these continuation patterns in your arsenal. Now, let's learn the strict mechanical rules for drawing these boxes on your chart. Let's take a demand zone, for example. Once you spot the explosive rally, look left to the tight base before the move. You take your rectangle tool. The top line of your box, the proximal line, snaps to the highest body of that base candle cluster. The bottom line of your box, the distal line, must snap to the absolute lowest wick of that entire base. You then drag the box to the right into the future. Why is the lowest wick absolutely mandatory? Because that wick represents the extreme of the institutional liquidity sweep. If you only draw your box on the candle bodies, your zone will be too thin, and your stop loss will be hunted. Give the zone the full width of the accumulation wick. For supply, it's inverted. Draw from the lowest body up to the highest wick of the base. Just because you drew a valid box doesn't mean you should blindly trade it. The market leaves dozens of consolidations everywhere. To protect your capital, you must filter these zones using 3 strict validation rules. Rule number 1 is the strength of the departure. I cannot stress this enough. If the price casually and slowly drifts away from the base, the zone is garbage. Delete it. We want to see fair value gaps or deep imbalances. This means the explosion away from the base consisted of massive, full-bodied extended range candles. The move was so violently fast that there was no time for the opposing side to trade, leaving a literal gap in the price action. A strong, aggressive departure is the ultimate proof that the resting orders left behind in that zone are substantial, institutional, and highly worth trading. Rule number 2 for validating your zone is the break of market structure. An explosive move is great, but did it actually accomplish anything significant on the chart? The aggressive move leaving your base must break a previous significant swing high or swing low. If a demand zone is formed, but the resulting rally didn't have enough sustained power to break a previous structural high, it is a weak zone. Think about it. If the buyers weren't strong enough to reverse the previous market structure, They definitely don't have enough power to reverse the market when you eventually try to buy the pullback. Always look to the left of your chart. If your zone caused a confirmed break of structure, it is highly validated. If it failed to break structure, do not risk your money on it. Rule number 3 is zone freshness. This concept is where retail traders completely self-destruct. Support and resistance traders firmly believe that the more times a line is tested, the stronger it gets. Supply and demand logic dictates the exact opposite. If a demand zone contains 10,000 unfilled buy orders, the first time price touches it, it consumes 5,000 of those orders and bounces strongly. The second time it touches, it consumes 3,000 more. By the third touch, the institutional buy orders are completely exhausted, and the price will crash straight through the zone as if it wasn't even there. The highest probability trade is always the very first touch of a fresh, unmitigated zone. Second touches are significantly lower probability, and you should absolutely never trade a third touch. Wait for fresh zones. Before we talk about exact entries, we must discuss time frame alignment. A beautiful 5-minute demand zone is absolutely useless if you are buying right into a massive 4-hour supply zone. The higher time frame always dominates the lower time frame. To dramatically increase your win rate, you must use top-down analysis. Start on the daily or 4-hour chart to map out the major institutional supply and demand zones. Determine who is in overall control. Then, only look for buying opportunities on the 15-minute or 5-minute chart when the higher time frame is tapping into demand. Only look for selling opportunities when the higher time frame is tapping into supply. When you align your lower time frame executions with the higher time frame institutional zones, you stop fighting the current and start surfing the massive institutional wave. Now let's put it all together into an execution strategy. Price is approaching your fresh, validated demand zone. You have 2 execution choices. The aggressive entry is placing a buy limit order exactly at the proximal edge of the box. This guarantees you enter the trade, but carries slightly higher risk if the broader market momentum is crashing. The conservative entry is the confirmation entry. You wait for the price to enter your big higher time frame box, and then you zoom into a smaller time frame, like the 5-minute chart. You watch the price action inside the zone. You wait for the smaller time frame to break its downtrend and create a change of character, printing a mini demand zone inside your big box. This visually confirms that the banks are actively defending the zone before you enter. Regardless of your entry type, risk management is what keeps you alive. With traditional lines, you guessed your stop loss. With zones, your stop loss is mathematically defined. If you are buying a demand zone, your stop loss must be placed completely outside the distal edge of the box, plus a small buffer like the ATR to account for broker spread. Do not put your stop loss inside the box. Hide it behind the thick wall of institutional orders. For take profits, the logic is brilliantly simple. The market moves from zone to zone. You target the next opposing unmitigated supply zone. By limiting your risk to the width of the base and targeting the massive empty space between zones, you easily create setups with 1-3, 1-5, or even 1-10 risk-to-reward ratios. Trading is a game of probability and survival. By abandoning thin support and resistance lines, you stop volunteering to be the liquidity that institutions hunt. You stop getting frustrated by engineered fakeouts. By adopting supply and demand, you start seeing the matrix. You look for footprints of massive volume, you trade in structural areas, and you protect your capital behind validated order blocks. Start drawing boxes instead of lines this week. Backtest this approach relentlessly. If this video helped shift your trading paradigm, please leave a like, subscribe for more advanced institutional concepts, and drop a comment below on how this strategy works for you. Trade the zones, protect your capital, and I will see you in the next video.